While we're getting that ready, let me just briefly tell you, those of you that know me, I am, again, proud and honored to be the chairman this year for the organization. I do some work with the propane industry, Louisiana Propane Gas Association, and very proud of the work that I do with them and the background that that's given me in learning about that industry, learning about alternative fuels. We also do a lot of work with the oil and gas industry all across the state. Let me make it clear, I am glad and proud that Louisiana is an oil and gas state, that we're an energy producing state. But the world is changing, and as it changes and as we start looking to alternative fuels, Louisiana's state needs to be a leader in that as well. And so I'm glad that the propane industry, the natural gas industry, the electric industry, biodiesel, and all of them are moving forward in Louisiana, and that we can truly be that leading energy state where people look to us for all sorts of energy, all types of energy. And so that said, we're going to talk a little bit about the propane industry. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves and go through their program, and then we'll do a little Q&A. Tom?
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today to speak to y'all. I'm just a little bit about my background first. I'm historically a 21-year fleet and operations manager that deployed propane in my fleet back in 2009. I used the Roush Cleantech fuel system back then. Deployed 13 vehicles over a few years and had an opportunity in talking with Roush and being local in Michigan to their facility to join their organization in 2013, and I jumped at the idea. So I started out in field service, running their field service team, warranty training and education, the field service engineers that go out with boots on the ground to help support our customers, before transitioning last October to this role, which is the business development, helping the school bus side of the business. Into a little bit of the presentation. Roush Cleantech does fall under the Roush Industries umbrella of brand portfolio, which also includes Roush Fenwick Racing, of course, the winningest NASCAR racing team out there today, although in recent years we've been struggling mightily. We do still have that feather in our cap. Also Roush Performance Products, which is where Roush Cleantech actually started back in 2007. We were building fuel systems, selling fuel systems, and installing fuel systems under the Roush Performance umbrella from 2007 through 2010, where Cleantech branched off and went on its own to be its own standalone company under the Roush umbrella. So we're dedicated to developing quality alternative fuel solutions that are durable. Our focus is on propane autogas today, although in recent years we have worked on a CNG program with Bluebird on the Type Z Vision bus. And most recently we announced that we are getting our toes in the water and dabbling on electric, and I'll speak to that a little bit later on. All of our fuel systems are EPA and CARB certified. We do have many options within the different Ford medium duty platforms that we support to customize to suit the customer's needs. Our focus is on displacing diesel and lowering operating costs for our customers, also reducing your carbon footprint. We do have full OEM support through the Ford and Ford BPM network. Roush Cleantech is a QVM and QCM qualified vehicle modifier, qualified calibration modifier for Ford. We're one of only a couple of companies within the country that can actually modify our calibration to work and be integrated into the Ford PCM, which helps with serviceability and diagnostics. And then of course we've got great partnerships with Bluebird and some others working on creating more opportunities for all of us. And we're using propane, which is a great fuel that is very abundant, and the majority of it is produced here right in North America. So today we have 17,500 vehicles, just over that number, out on the road today across all of our fleet platforms, running 430 million miles historically, and we're servicing over 850 school districts. We specified school districts because that's been our largest adoption area, but in total we have over 1,000 customers today. This July, well, going back to 2016, with our focus on the Ford 6.8 liter V10, we were able to achieve a low NOx certification at 0.05 grams of NOx per brake horsepower hour. That is the standard NOx level that you will find on all of our fuel systems today that we're putting out into the market, regardless of platform. And then this past July, we achieved that 0.02 grams of NOx certification, again, on all of our 6.8 liter 3-valve engines with the Ford V10. Very excited about that, considering the additional funding that's becoming available with the VW settlement and other states that are recognizing that ARB standard. So student transportation has been our biggest market since 2012. We've got a great partnership with Bluebird, who's been producing school buses, exclusively school buses, since 1927. They are recognized as one of the national leaders in bus manufacturing, and they set the industry standard with their innovative approach to the industry and how they drive change to their bus model. Ford, of course, has been a market leader in the light and medium-duty commercial application space for well over a century. The powertrain package that we focus on within the Bluebird school bus, they've produced over 1.8 million engines since 1997, so it is a proven powertrain. It is matched with a 6-speed 6R140 transmission for Ford that you also find in applications like the F650 and F750 today. Rush Cleantech, of course, has been an engineering firm that's been around for 40 plus years now, since the mid-70s, and we're a leader in alternative fuel space. We're also a major Tier 1 supplier for Ford. That's why it makes working with Bluebird and Ford on the bus partnership so seamless and easy, because we do have that significant lineage of engineering background with Ford. Let's look at our heat map on school bus deployments. In the total of our 17,500 units, school bus makes up about 12,000 of that at those 850 school districts. We do have buses running the propane fuel system in nearly every state. The only two that we are missing are Mississippi and Hawaii, but we do have white fleet vehicles running in those states. So we have our product running in every state in North America and every Canadian province except for Greenland today. So we got some pretty good saturation across North America. So in the school bus market, we'll talk a little bit about the operational benefit. You know, when you look at a diesel bus today, just a basic PM, diesel engine, 17 quarts of oil, 17 to 30 quarts of oil, and about a $15 to $19 filter. With the Ford V10, you're looking at a similar oil change PM to what you'd find in your automobile, 7 quarts of oil and about a $4.50 filter. So although the duration for oil change is a little bit more timely, 5,000 miles versus on a diesel, I think most go to 10, you're looking at about a third to maybe a quarter of the cost per oil change. So significant savings just on one maintenance parameter. Also today with the diesel emissions, you've got DEF that you have to worry about. The average diesel bus uses about 40 gallons of DEF per year. And also you run the risk of having the wrong fuel put in the wrong canister. We hear this frequently in districts that diesel fuel will get put in the DEF fluid container on a regular basis, unfortunately, and it's costly to clean that out and change out those components. Modern diesel emissions technology today equals complexity. You know, diesel engines have been around for many, many years. They're workhorses. They run 500,000 plus miles. They're tremendous powertrains. But as emission conditions have changed and those requirements to keep engines clean have gotten more strict, all of these components have been required to go onto a diesel engine to meet those standards, just the 0.2 standard. So you look at, you know, SCR catalysts and DPFs and DPF filters and DEF head assemblies and NOx sensors. All of this is cost that you have to deal with over time when running a bus. The only thing that's not part of the diesel emission standards, we've got a block heat around here, which some of our buses use in cold weather states, obviously. So what we like to do is we like to run through a basic savings calculator using just some basic maintenance parameters for our school districts and other customers. I reference school districts here because this is a model that we did for Gordon County Schools in Georgia recently. Don't expect you to look at this eye chart and read through it all, but we look at the cost of fuel, their duty cycle, how long they keep a vehicle, what their basic maintenance costs are today for oil changes, fuel filters, and DEF. And we run a costing model that shows what they may save if they switch to propane over a 15, 12, or 18-year life cycle. In this instance, it was 15 years. And this district was going to stand to save about $36,000 per year, $36,000 in lifetime costs for operating a propane bus versus a diesel bus, based on the inputs that they gave us, which translates to about 20 cents per mile in savings. So pretty significant. I'll go through some of the products. And try to speed it up so I don't take up too much time. I want to leave time for Artie, and I know that we're standing in the way of lunch at this point. But Bluebird has the 6.8 V10 3-valve engine. It is paired with that 6-speed automatic transmission from Ford. We have 3 different tank capacities in a 47, a 67, and a 93 usable gallon tank. We do have that EPA and CARB cert. And this particular platform can hold up to 77 passengers. Commercial fleet, we do cover basically class 4 through 7 on Ford, medium-duty trucks and chassis. Because we are a QVM vehicle modifier, the warranty from Ford does stay intact. And on the fuel system side, we actually match that warranty. So if Ford is giving you a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty on their powertrain, Roush is matching that technology matching that warranty on the fuel system technology as well. There's no loss of horsepower, torque, or towing capacity with our fuel system on the Ford medium-duty fleet. It is serviceable with existing diagnostic tools today. And we do have HDOBD2 compliance today, which I believe is the next standard that's going to be going into effect as mandatory as of January 2019. Just a quick look at some of the industries that we serve with some of the platforms. I'm not going to go through all of it, but linen, food and bakery, beverage, transit, vending, logistics, and propane. Two of our most accelerated markets as far as adoption go over the last 2 years have been food and beverage. We signed a partnership with Nestle Waters USA about 2 years ago, and they have since deployed nearly 800 8-bay and 10-bay beverage water trucks on the 650 and 750 platform. And then about 18 months ago, we partnered with Schwann's, and we are now producing the E450 for their freezer body trucks. And we've run about 400 of those units through our system as well. And we're expecting to do 300 units a year for the next 4 years with Schwann's. Pretty exciting stuff. So the E350, 450, most commonly used in a basic delivery vehicle or a paratransit vehicle. 4,500 pound gross vehicle weight rating. We have a 41 usable gallon and a 64 usable gallon fuel tank. And depending on your application, you're going to get anywhere between 240 and 380 miles of range out of that application. The F450, 550, the same 683 LV10, a 19.5 gross vehicle weight rating. We have driver and passenger side fuel tanks available for this platform in 35, 50, and 65 usable gallons. And depending on your application and what you're running, you can get anywhere from 150 to 320 miles of range. A few more other applications on the 450 in the paratransit market with the F550 at San Diego MTS there on the bottom. The F650, 750. Same engine powertrain, 33,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. We have all configurations on the vehicle chassis. We have dual side saddle mount tanks. We do have a drop frame option. In this setup, it's 55 usable gallons with a range of 160 to 220 miles. And we do get our frame piercing directly from the manufacturer. Ford will pierce the frames directly for us when we order these chassis for our fuel system. So we're not manipulating the frame at all. A couple of other applications on the 650, 750. We've got some bobtails and a AAA flatbed tow truck. In this particular configuration, we're looking at a single saddle driver side 50 usable gallon tank with that 160 to 200 mile range. And in 2019, we will be introducing a dual long tank, short tank option that will give us about 75 total usable gallons. And the last thing on our products is the F53, F59, most prominent in the baking and linen industries. 16,000 pounds gross vehicle weight up to 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. Driver side and aft axle fuel tanks are available. 45 and 65 usable gallons with a 200 mile to 320 mile range. Because our fuel system is dedicated propane, we don't have any biofuel options today. We do talk in that usable gallons because our fuel tanks, water capacity is a lot higher than what we actually put in it. Because propane does expand as a fuel, we only fill the tank to about 80% total capacity. Refueling infrastructure, most of our customers go to propane because the refueling infrastructure is pretty easy. You can get simple skid-based systems. There's a few examples there. Anywhere from 1,000 gallons up to 18,000 gallons are available. We have some vertical tanks. Most of the smaller refueling infrastructure tanks will take up about 2 to 3 parking spots in a parking lot. I'm sure Artie can speak to that a little bit more effectively. We have everything from really robust 2 to 4 island handle stations to just a simple 1,000 skid station that you see like in the bottom right there. So why refueling infrastructure for private stations? Well, fuel management systems can be tied in, which can feed directly back into your vehicle maintenance system. There are large, robust fuel pumps available for fuel times. There's a wide variety of storage options from 1,000 gallons all the way up to 18,000 gallons. It's convenient. You can store above ground or below ground, and it's very scalable. So I spoke about this a little bit. In 2020, we will be launching into production a Class 6 and 7 vehicle and possibly a school bus, offering 120 miles of range, direct drive transmission, electric vehicle, fully electric vehicle. We have our engineering vehicle, which we call our Alphas, on the road today, which we'll be validating throughout the early part of 2019. We'll have beta units going out with customers in late 2019, and we expect to be into full production early in 2020. So in summary, we've got strong OEM support. We have an OEM purpose-built powertrain system. We have a nationwide service network to support the product. We have our HDOBD2 and CARB certification, EPA certifications. We do have the ultra-low NOx options for low emissions. We have a great abundant domestic fuel. We are focused on displacing diesel because of the complications with the emission systems. We have low-cost, easy infrastructure. We have dedicated customer support, and we also offer no-cost training. Any questions? Yes.
What's the operating pressure on your propane?
So typical operating pressure on an average day is about 120 to 160 psi. Max pressure for the system is 312 psi. So it's relatively high.
Maintenance.
The only maintenance item required on a fuel system, there's 2 fuel filters that get changed at 50,000 miles. There's a filter that we put at the fuel inlet, and then there's a post tank before the injectors. There's a 5 micron and a 1 micron filter to help clean the fuel before it gets up to the injectors. The only 2 maintenance items we have.
What have you guys, is it moisture, is it oil, what other type of contaminants are we pulling out of the propane?
So the only threat that we see primarily in the northern states, particularly this time of year as the weather starts to get cold, is moisture. And most of the fuel providers up in that area are conditioned to dope the fuel, methanol, to help mitigate the moisture in the fuel. It does not have, that doping has no impact on the fuel system at all. Any other questions? I thank you very much for your time.
A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for 39 years and delivering propane gas. I've used it in pickup trucks, I've used it in bobtails, I've used it in forklifts, I've used it in tractors, I've used it in all types of farm equipment, everything you can imagine. And then generators, irrigation, and lawnmowers, and even more vehicles. And my years in the industry, I've converted myself personally over hundreds of vehicles to LP gas. I can remember back in the 1980, early 80s, there wasn't a propane bus in Rapides Parish where I live, and I converted 110 of those buses. And those buses came to us because the bus drivers were, back then they were contract bus drivers, and they were getting paid X number of dollars for what their maintenance cost was, and if they could find a way to decrease their expenses, they could have that savings and go straight to them. So they came to me with that, and we were able to reduce their cost in running their buses and save those guys that were privately owned quite a bit of money. So that's why I was able to convert all those buses. It started with 1 and it got to 110. So I saw the propane as an auto gas decline in the early 1990s, mid-1990s, when it really declined for us because technology, we weren't keeping up with the technology that the automobile industry was putting out there. And suppliers that was out there supplying us with the equipment to convert all these vehicles to LP gas wasn't staying up. But along came Roush. This guy here, I'm going to pat him on the back. I don't know that we'd be where we're at today for them and the technology that they brought and the foresight that they saw of the need for what they were doing. Since they've come, I've saw buses that probably were running 70% efficiencies Now we're running probably 100%. I'm talking about ideal stoichiometric because of the system that they have. And that's just, they have complete combustion, their economy's better, the buses run better, cleaner, and they're able to produce the emissions that they're able to produce. And a lot of that's attributed to the technology that they were able to come up with, or we wouldn't be here as advanced we are now. Right now, we're supplying, as a supplier in Louisiana, we're supplying the Baton Rouge school districts with LP gas. We recently started supplying Lafayette Parish, and we have a few buses in Bossier Caddo Parish up there. So that's where we're at. We're a supplier. We're here to supply the fleets. We're able to offer the distribution system that he showed you a slide of. We set those up. We can do them. Some fleet managers want to own the equipment. We're able to sell you that equipment. And then some fleet managers want us to furnish the equipment, which we're able to do, and able to pay for that through the cost of the product that we're serving the customer with. That's what we do, and you have any questions for me?
Can you tell me about how many propane vehicles you operate in the state of Louisiana? Because I understand you're getting an award today for your propane usage in your own fleet.
That number changes. I have about 20 vehicles, and we're getting new vehicles in. And as the technology catches up, we plan on, right now, a lot of our larger delivery vehicles are diesel, which we will be using propane as the engines become available. Yes, sir.
Question. Was there any analysis or projections done as far as life expectancy on an engine running propane versus diesel?
Mr.
So I can tell you anecdotally that we have vehicles that have been running since 2011, 2012, airport shuttle type of fleets, the nonstop operation basically, that have in excess of 350,000 miles on it today.
Percentage-wise, how long will the engine last running longer?
You know, I don't know that we have good data to speak to that. I mean, the analysis that we've done with Ford in developing the fuel system for their powertrain, we estimated comfortably 225,000 miles. That's conservative. We don't have good solid data to back it up yet. We are working towards that.
In our own fleet, we change out our fleet every 15 years is when they're eligible for replacement. And I have trucks that are 19 years old that are still running on LP gas. So until we have an engine failure, we'll continue to use our own fleet. Yes.
I'll be real quick with this because I know we want to get to lunch. Quick anecdotal story. We do work, as I said, with the propane industry, and years ago when Governor Mike Foster was governor, we were asking him to do a public service announcement for us. And so as he was preparing, he said, you know, I remember propane when I was growing up, and we had it on the farm, and we had our trucks. He said, and we didn't have air compressors, so we used to put propane in the tires and fill them up. And I said, Governor, how'd you ever get to be governor? That's not one of the smartest things I've ever heard. But a question that I would have real quick for these guys is, people think of propane and they think of Hank Hill and King of the Hill, or they think, well, years ago there was this propane tractor, or years ago I know about this propane truck, and it just didn't work right. And Artie kind of mentioned it a little bit, Tom, you know it, and I would just ask these guys real quick. Anybody that remembers those old propane vehicles, the world has changed and the propane industry has changed, and what could you say just briefly to tell these people it's not your grandfather's propane anymore?
No, we've gone away from the old vapor style technology where you had significant issues with cold weather with vapor lock, or sometimes issues with warm weather, super extreme warm weather. With today's liquid injection technology, we are providing fuel to the engine in the exact same way you would provide gasoline to the engine. So we're using that exact same technology from the major OEM to deliver fuel, and you're just not having those same issues that you were today, back then.
I wanted to say, kind of about what you said. I've got a 1972 4020 that my grandfather had converted to propane, and it's the worst thing ever. And I've got a buddy of mine who's got a horse tractor, about 90 horse, that runs on propane, and it's 90 days.
That's awesome.
All right, one last question real quickly. when we see new people that are in the industry and they open up that hood and they look and they say, oh goodness, this is not my daddy's carburetor and I don't understand any of this stuff. And so they get a little bit scared, and one of the questions is, what are we going to do about maintenance? How are we going to get these things fixed? Because I'm not real comfortable with this. Can you guys address that? And in particular, I think that there are some people that kind of confuse when they think about these shops that are required, and I'm talking about other fuels. There are special requirements with other types of fuels that you just don't have with propane. So how can you make everybody feel comfortable from a maintenance standpoint?
Well, the first thing is on the slide that indicated where, you know, the fuel system today is serviceable for the same technology, diagnosing technology that you have in your shops today. There are no special tools that are required to work on our propane fuel system on the Ford powertrain. Also, there are no special shop requirements like you would see in CNG, because propane is heavier than air. It does dissipate and sink to the floor. So the only thing you have to be mindful of when working on it in your shop with zero upgrades is if you have a pit for oil changes, you cannot work on your propane fuel system in that pit. And the folks at the Propane Education and Research Council just put out a fabulous video that talks about specifically maintenance garaging, and how to set your garage up for success when you're working on propane vehicles. If you have a few minutes to go to the website, Propane Education and Research Council, they do have that resource available, which really tells you the nuts and bolts and ins and outs in servicing propane vehicles within your existing garages today. And there are no extreme costs that you'd have to recognize to do that, to move to that platform today.
The truck that I have a Ford F-250, and we have around 400,000 miles on that engine right now. And that truck, the only maintenance we've ever had to do is the filter screen that he was talking about. It's in the tank. And you talked about some of the contaminants. The only thing that we find in it is little parts of metal and rust particles. And usually that's provided in that gets into the tank by the pumping of the product coming when it starts at the refinery. So that's the only thing I ever found in the filter. And that was after that truck we've been running it 7 years. And so we did that at 5 years. I found just probably a handful of rust in the tank.
I'll just add one other thing in terms of getting comfortable with serving propane vehicles, is that when Roush was founded in 2010, we were one of the highest priorities that we had was making sure that we were set up to support the product effectively in the field. So one of the first things that was developed was a training and support team at Roush. And since day one, going back to 2010, we have provided free training to our customers, free service training to our customers and shops, and our nationwide service network that supports the product. Because it is important that your technicians are comfortable with the product. Should you have a failure, they know the right people to call and the right steps to take to diagnose and repair.